You could join us now in our first story. The Minority Chief Whip and MP for Asawase Muntaka Mubarak is advocating a downward review of the number of Ghana's legislators from 275 to 200. He says it is critical to deal with persistent absenteeism in Parliament, where he explains less than 100 members have been true to their work. Alhaji Mubarak, speaking to Love FM's Nana Aljima, suggests the remaining 75 seats can be reserved for minority groups to be selected based on expertise and competence to support the House.
Many of our MPs are not doing the work that they are elected to do. Sometimes you have people just walk in and walk out. Sometimes people don't pay attention to the details when it comes, simply because their attention is somewhere. If I had my way, I would have said that let's reduce the constituency to 200. And then the 75, we'll leave it for the political parties based on the results that we get from the election. And then have a strict criteria. So, for example, say, minimum education, you need to have a degree, you need to have a working experience of no less than 15 years, you need to have that, you need to have that. So that it will restrict the political parties, the caliber of persons that they can do. So that these people becomes the technical component. Or better still, use it for the affirmative action. In Uganda, you have seats for women, seats for the youth, physically challenged, the military, and other relevant minority groups. Because, I mean, those minority groups naturally may not be able to win a seat. When we do that, I want to believe that it may help our democracy. Now, I'm hearing, oh, they want to add some CEOs, some say they are adding 25. If that is true, what it will mean is that we are putting the cart before the horse to justify for a new chamber. By simply adding the numbers, members are standing, we don't have a, so we need to build a new chamber. And in my humble opinion, this will not be fair to Ghanaians.
Now, Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak is advocating a downward review of Ghana's legislators from 275 to 200. He says it will deal with absenteeism, where he explains that less than 100 members have been true to their work. Now, earlier you heard him speak there to Nana Aljima, who is our correspondent in Kumasi. He works there for Kumasi-based Love FM. He wants, in the interim, a biometric attendance recording system installed in the House. Right, we get more in later bulletins. Now, another story. The Ghana Health Service has attributed the new polio cases being recorded in the country to failure on the part of some parents to take their children for vaccination. This is coming at a time the country is awaiting to be declared polio-free by the World Health Organization. Between September and October 2019, the Ghana Health Service launched a series of campaigns in the Greater Accra region and parts of the Northern region to get children under 5 vaccinated. Gains made in these measures, however, seem threatened by the new cases. Deputy Director of Public Health and Head of Disease Surveillance at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Esedu-Bekwe, told JoyNews the service is intensifying vaccinations across the country to stem the new threats.
We have had a number of activities to try and curtail the threats. As we said earlier, we have had some vaccination campaigns in Upper East, Greater Accra, Northern region, even in Brown Africa region. Normally, when you have an outbreak, you try to give what they call the outbreak vaccination campaign. So that has been done. What is happening is that there was a gap of some children who were not protected. So we are going to have a nationwide campaign at the end of February, so that the children that were left out are actually covered. So for now, currently, as I speak, there's a campaign going on in the region and the whole of Brown Africa. Now they are half of Bono East and then Bono region.
This news is a bit surprising since access to vaccination is all over, really. What do you think is happening? Why are parents not going forward to have their children vaccinated?
Let me say that we had globally, there was, when we look at the polio as a disease, there are 3 types: polio type 1, type 2, and type 3. And globally, there was, like the eradication of the type 2. So we switched from the vaccine that has the 3 components to the type that has the 2 components, because there were no more type 2s in the world. So when the switch happened, we're supposed to move away from the oral polio to the injectable type. And there was a little gap. So some children were actually left out who were not protected against type 2. And they are the people who are mostly affected by this unfortunate mistake. So that's why we are going to have this nationwide campaign end of February to cover all those children who were missed out when we did the switch from the trivalent polio vaccine to a bivalent polio vaccine.
Now, away from that story, the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana School Feeding Program, SIBA Alpha, says they have cleared arrears of 95% old caterers. This comes on the back of Wednesday night's invasion by some of the caterers. Some of the caterers under the program Wednesday night besieged the residence of President Akufo-Addo in Nima over what they say is the refusal of government to pay their arrears. The women who thronged the president's residence with their mattresses and pillows say they are willing to sleep over if assurances are not given to the effect of getting their concerns addressed. Some of them also said they were being pressured by banks to service loans borrowed to pre-finance activities under the initiative. Here's an interview the caterers granted Kofi TV.
If Morrison was a woman, he would have had some sympathy for us. They are giving us sleepless nights, which has made us run out of our rooms. We are worried and have been grieving about the debt owed us.
Morrison, oh, good president, Nana Akufo-Addo, Nimasi, said Nana Ntia,
Morrison is really disgracing the president. Morrison has really pushed us to the wall, so we are going to speak. But this Xmas, you bought wine, malt, and you were enjoying in your rooms while we went hungry. We cannot keep quiet any longer.
Now, though the woman accused the gender minister, Cynthia Morrison, of being behind the delay in paying the arrears, the school feeding program says 95% of the caterers had been paid. Public Relations Officer of the Ghana School Feeding Program, SIBA Alpha, spoke earlier on News Desk.
Over 95% of our caterers. And then let me put this into perspective. Generally, when we do any payment, naturally, we have one or two isolated cases of caterers who may not get their money. Not because the money is not there, but because we have issues collating the data to be able to pay them. And so those ones, we put them aside and we call for the information to make serious verification to ensure that when they send the money, it goes to the rightful owners of the money, so that the money don't go to wrong hands. So these are some of the issues that we have been confronting with, because when we made the payments, some of the caterers, their data, for instance, some you realize that we pay electronically, so we deposit the money into their e-switch card, and then some of these cases we realize that their e-switch card numbers are not accurate. This is one of the examples.
Okay.
And so when you pay the money, it may go to a different person. It will not go to the rightful person.
Okay, so Alpha, essentially you're saying that you've paid about 95% of these caterers.
Yes.
So
yes,
you have a 5% figure that you have not paid. And this is because of all the reasons that you're giving.
Yes, because if you don't get the correct information to pay and to process, and you go ahead and process, and one thing we have to take notice of is that we are dealing with taxpayers' money. So you don't have to throw money down the drain and then later on to come and say you are going to retrieve the money.
We stay in education, but in a higher level, because the impact of strike by Technical University teachers is telling students who turned up to undertake various academic activities have been left stranded. TUTAG has been on an indefinite strike since Monday to protest the non-payment of allowances due its members following the conversion of polytechnics to technical universities. According to the association, government has refused to comply fully with the ruling by the National Labour Commission, NLC, to ensure that its members start receiving their allowances from December 2019, January 2020 and February 2020. National President of TUTAG, Dr. Solomon Kielson, spoke to Mamavi Osuabuaje on News Desk Wednesday.
There has been some communication, at least from the Executive Secretary for National Labour Commission.
Of a possible meeting?
Yes. No communication. We haven't had any communication with Fair Wages. We haven't had any communication with NCT. You see, Ministry of Education is the direct employer, and so whoever has to do what, finance have to pay. Yet your employer has a stake in that. And Fair Wages has to work on the rates and the values, and so they have a role to play. NCTE, they work under the Ministry of Education, and for that matter, they also have a role to play. Action, my sister, the promises from 2016 to now is so much that there is no trust anymore. So promises will not be taken this time again, because you see, the last promise that we had was to be enforced by National Labour Commission, and that is why they gave the ruling. And so if National Labour Commission has given a ruling, and that can also not be complied with, then we don't know which promise we can take serious again. So what we are waiting for is action.
And until then?
Until then, the word indefinite, as you saw in the release, continues.
Meanwhile, disappointed students who turned up on campus following another day of strike action by the lecturers called on governments to intervene now. PSA Nanaya Staffo joins us via telephone with an update. PSA, where have you been and what is the atmosphere?
Yes, Daniel, right here at Accra Technical University, as you mentioned earlier, many of the students who did turn up are rather disappointed, and many of them indecisive and in fact confused at the moment. They were scheduled to, at the beginning of the week, that's Monday, 6th January 2020, begin their examination. This is the second time the exam had been postponed following last year's, that's October 2020, the adjournment due to the same TUTAG and TUTAG strike that happened then. Many of the students, some are angry, some disappointed, with a few trying to study, despite the fact that exam obviously is not going to happen within the week now.
But PSA, did you see any lecturers at all on campus?
Well, no sighting of lecturers, and in fact we were here a few months ago during the first session of the TUTAG strike, where there were at least one or two lecturers who were helping our students. Today there's a total, I'm not in all my rounds, I've not seen a single lecturer here on campus. In fact, even with the administration, it was only the TUTAG chairman and a few others who reported for duty, and they are sending mainly to the media that do come by with any statement whatsoever.
Let's go back to what the students have been telling you, PSA.
Yes, so the students here have been complaining generally, as I mentioned, of the fact that they can't write their exam. It is the second time, which means that it's going to affect them academically. They have also called on government to put aside whatever difference they have with these authorities and just settle their students as they meet them in the classroom as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, PSA Nanaya Safo. He's my colleague in the newsroom, and he's stationed at the Accra Technical University. Now, police at Mainshia Divisional Command in Kumasi have launched investigations into the mysterious death of the NDC parliamentary candidate-elect for SUBIN. The party decomposed body of 55-year-old Linford Owo, also known as CD, was found in his room at Fanti Newtown. Suspicious landlord and other neighbors drew police attention to a foul smell and hovering flies around the area. Mainshia Divisional Commander ACP Kwekubwa says police will rely heavily on a post-mortem to establish the cause of death. Ohiming Teria of our security desk has more in the following report.
Police forced the door open to the site of Owo's corpse, almost in a state of decomposition. Menshia Divisional Commander ACP Kwakubua says police will rely heavily on a post-mortem to establish the cause of death. Mr. Owuo, a non-NDC activist, will be remembered for his infamous attack on the MPP serial caller Apia Stadium, whose car was also set ablaze at Asim. Apia Stadium has since switched cams to the NDC, following an out-of-court settlement of the case and replacement of his car by the then governing party. Mr. Owuo was last seen last Sunday when he parked his Toyota RAV4 vehicle in front of his house. Police suspect the NDC parliamentary hopeful for SUBIN may have died on either late Sunday or early hours of Monday. ACP Kwakubua explains.
We had a phone call from a relative this morning around 7:30 that since Sunday they've been looking for this young man. They couldn't find him. All his phones were off. So we went there. They came to tell us that they had also smelled a very pungent smell from the room where he sleeps. They had also seen some flies around the windows of the room where he sleeps. So we went there, forced the door open, and there he was lying on his bed, dead. We have reasons to believe that he might have died late Sunday or early Monday morning. We've picked the body, we've taken it to the Convention Hospital mortuary for preservation and autopsy.
It might be too early to be asking these questions. What has your investigation so far established? Do you suspect foul play, or this is just a natural death and sleeping dogs should be allowed to lie?
To say it's a natural or an unnatural death would depend on what the pathologist tells us. So we are waiting for the pathologist's report, which will come only after the PM has been done. In fact, we've been assured that the PM will be done tomorrow morning.
Bereaved relatives have declined comment on the matter as they await report on the autopsy due to be performed on Thursday. From Kumasi for JoyNews, Ohimintewia reporting.
Now, let's go to Ohiming on the phone lines now because he has the latest on another issue we've been following in Kumasi. The wife of a key suspect in the Kumasi deadly shooting at a private hotel is being investigated in her role in the alleged crime. Ohiming is with us on the line. Ohiming, we understand the woman is called Belinda Ewuku. When was she picked up? What more do we know?
Yes, Daniel, police are tight-lipped of when she was picked up. But what we do know is that Belinda is being investigated for her role, and she has since been granted bail pending the forward of the document to the Attorney General's Department for advice. What we do know is that police says the suspect, Belinda Ewuku, supported his husband to conceal the crime after they claimed that the husband had been attacked at the private hotel by supposed armed robbers, but it turned out to be false. But the Deputy Regional Police Commander, ACP David Ajem, who revealed this, will not say what charges they have preferred against the woman, but indicates he's under investigation. He made this known on the Live in the Morning show hosted by David Akwete this morning. And the Deputy Regional Police Commander says very soon the public will know. But definitely he says the charge that they will prefer against the woman will not be the same as what we preferred against the husband, because the woman came in at the time the crime has already been committed. So this points to the fact that she may be charged for aiding and abetment of crime, Daniel.
So, I mean, just so we are clear, this woman reported the alleged murder to the police and her husband was fingered as a suspect, and so now she's also a person of interest.
Yes. She reported, the woman reported the incident to police. Though she was not at the hotel, we are told she had a conversation with the husband. After the husband had committed this crime, the husband got back to her at home, confirmed the incident to her, And the decision that they took was that the woman should rush to the police station, lodge a complaint. Once the husband goes back to the hotel, create a scene as if he has been under armed robbery attack. So police believe that this woman probably played a role in there, but it is not clear what exactly she did, apart from the fact that she went to police to lodge a complaint after her husband had shot the woman, allegedly shot the woman. So police believe that it is important to investigate her role and prepare charges against her.
Thank you very much.
The family has been joined by mourners to celebrate the 1-week passing of the late Comfort Usu-FEA, also known as Mamia.
Thank you very much, Ohiming for that update. We'll come back to you when there's more. Now, the whole central prison's cesspit continuous overflow is putting the health of residents at risk as they are at fears of contracting communicable diseases. Authorities' rehab centers say they lack money to regularly dislodge the cesspit. The Volta Regional Prisons Commander, Deputy Director of Prisons GDP Andrews Kwesi Jokoto expressed great worry over the development and called for support to construct a biodigester toilet to replace the current facility. JoyNews' Fred Kwame Asare has more.
The whole central prison was originally constructed to accommodate 150 inmates. However, a total of 497 inmates are being housed at the prison currently. Due to the overpopulated state of the prison, there has been immense pressure on the sanitary facility serving the mill yard. Deputy Director of Prisons, Andrews Kwesi Jokoto, is the officer in charge of the whole central prison.
Because of the large numbers, our cesspit tank gets full frequently, and we have to dislodge weekly or bi-weekly. And at each dislodgement, we spend a total amount of 6,500 Ghana cedis. We have to go about 13 trips to be able to empty it. And in a matter of a week or two, it gets full again. And because we don't have enough money to be dislodging it frequently, the tank overflows.
The spilled water from the cesspit streams into a nearby drain and makes its way into a water body which travels through Bankwe, Toviaji, and other adjoining communities.
Sorry about those disturbing images. And now the National Identification Authority says discrepancies in biodata of registered applicants are the reasons for the delay in issuance of their cards. The registration process for the Ghana card, according to the authorities, has drawn criticism from the public, especially those whose cards have not been issued months after their data was taken. But speaking to me on the Super Morning Show, Executive Secretary for the authority, Prof. Ken Atefa, revealed inconsistencies in data provided by some applicants caused the delay.
When people go to register, they are required to provide consistent information. You could only be born one day. You were born on only one day, so you cannot have 2 dates of birth. There are people who registered for the Ghana card during the President Kufuor, President Mills's era and President Mahama's era. When they registered under, between 2008 and 2012, 2013, they used names or date of births that are different, some of them, that are different from the names and dates of birth that they are presenting to NIA in 2018, 2019, 2020. The system that we have designed is so robust, so sensitive as to, as it were, arrest and send into adjudication those who have SNIT, date of birth at SNIT, and are seeking to reduce their age, become younger through the NIA process. The system arrests them and sends them into adjudication. Those who were Georgina Mansa but have now become Georgina Dazi and have gone through no legal process to change name and gazette it, and they present conflicting documentation, the system arrests them and sends them into adjudication. A third scenario is where your biometrics and your biography, your biometrics, fingerprints, your face, and all of that, and another person's are so identical the system is suspicious. You have so many Joseph Mensahs in this country, and it is conceivable that some of them will have very proximate date of birth or the same date of birth. The system becomes suspicious, it arrests them and sends it into adjudication. And the thinking is that, or the arrangement is that, each of these has to be determined on a case-by-case basis.
Prophet Tefa also blamed some field staff of the NIA of misconduct. He assured his workers their unpaid stipends will be cleared by next week.
There have been many instances across the region of some of our officers misconducting themselves. And I'm talking about its injury to public confidence and, of course, its impact on queue management because of a false sense of protocol, because of corrupt conduct that some of them have engaged in. This payment business, it is true that they have not been paid for the month of December, but that has got absolutely nothing to do with the National Identification Authority as an institution. We made the request for payment through the GIFMIS platform on time, as we are required to do, in December, on time. But there are processes beyond the National Identification Authority, processes lying between the Controller and Accountant General's Department and the Bank of Ghana and the retail banks that, as it were, farm out the wages of the staff to them. As recently as just yesterday evening, I spoke with the Controller and Accountant General. The payment the releases had been made only yesterday. That is not a failure or a function of NIA.
Whose function is it?
Oh, it is a controller. It is the
Ministry of Finance.
The managers, yes, the managers of Ministry of Finance. And then, of course, it will go to the Bank of Ghana for the actual releases to be made to the individual banks. But it is not for want of diligence and effort on our part. Now, these are matters when on the 30th or 31st, I've forgotten exactly when. When I spoke with the controller, I shared that information with my head of finance, who also shared that information with the staff, with the expectation that around the 2nd or 3rd of January, that the releases would be made. Now that didn't happen. The releases, I'm told authoritatively by the controller yesterday, that the releases have been made as of yesterday. Now it will take that process. I expect that it will be liquid in their accounts by Monday. I think that by tomorrow they should be able to get notifications that their salaries or wages have landed.
Now, the year of return increased tourism activities across the country. But the town of Butre in the western region, which has many breathtaking sites, received low patronage because of the poor nature of the road and a dangerous bridge. Some tourists told JoyNews' Henry Kwesi Bedu that the nature of the bridge sent shivers down their spines. There's more in the following report.
A bird's view of Butre, a coastal community in western region. What you see are ruins of Fort Banterstein, built in 1656. From up here, it's a breathtaking view of the coast, lagoon, large vegetation and hills. Visitors enjoy a canoe ride through a mangrove to see wildlife species like alligators and crocodiles. But access to these tourist sites are impeded by a dilapidated footbridge that links the community. The almost 80 meters wooden bridge, which was constructed 10 years ago, now looks weak and dangerous. Tourists say, although it is adventurous to walk on the bridge, they are scared using it.
Well, we came across the bridge at about midnight last night, and it was precarious to say the least. But I think it's almost worse during the day because you can actually see how fragile it is. And unfortunately, it's so necessary to connect these two pieces of land that to have a bridge in this type of condition is rather unfortunate. I was more scared actually using it in daylight than I was using it during the dark. Wow. Because you can actually see, the fragility and how wobbly it is. And
this is actually my first time here. So we got the where they said bridge, hey, my friend, it wasn't easy. I even had my messes. Meanwhile, it wasn't my time. My time is not due, but I had to because it was so scary.
Many other communities are cut off when the bridge collapses occasionally. According to residents, when the bridge collapsed in November last year, it claimed the life of a 7-year-old boy. Residents, including children, are scared to use the bridge but have no option as it is the only route to other communities and their beaches. Elizabeth is a Class 6 pupil here.
We are frightened anytime we use the bridge. My colleague lost his life last year and we want government to fix the bridge for us.
According to elders of Butray community, the bridge has claimed 4 lives, injuring dozens in the span of 3 years. Kwesi Apetem speaks for the community.
Oh, at least 4.
About 4 people have lost their lives and several others sustained various forms of injuries.
Peter is a tour guide and says the state of the bridge is affecting revenue.
The tourists came, the school people, they came, they say, because of the bridge, they are afraid, and they turn back. Right now, the business is spoiled. 2018, one day I can go canoe trip more than 20 times. 2019, you can go to canoe trip 2 times a day.
Still live on JoyNews today. Before we bring you business, a former international presidential candidate or independent presidential candidate, Jacob Osei-Joy, is backing the Electoral Commission's call for a new voters register. The opposition National Democratic Congress, All People's Congress and the People's National Convention have kicked against the decision by the EC, citing inadequate time to compile the register and exhibit it before the 2020 elections. But speaking on News Desk earlier, a former independent presidential candidate, Jacob Osei-Joy, insists there is the need to create a register that the EC can manage.
And that is something that we are urging EC to do that. You see, this one is a security issue. Do you know what it means when we have prophets prophesy, say that EC wants to rig and things like that, and then we have the biggest opposition together with other minor political parties saying and coming out with the fact that this new biometric voter register means that EC wants to rig for the MP.
Is that what they've said emphatically?
Is it?
Is that what they've said?
Yes, it's part of these allegations. But apart from that, you were talking about the timing. The timing is not an issue. Our life is more important than even the timing. And the timing, I know, within 1 month or so, they can actually roll it up. It's unlike the NIA. The other argument also had to do with the fact that because Parliament has approved the new BVR, it means that we are going to have a dysfunctional NIA. And I said it earlier on that the NIA exercise is not going to be functional until certain things are put in place.
Now, coming up in business, Ghana Statistical Service likely to push start date of 2020 population census forward. Daryl Kwao has all the details after this.